Dá sim. 쉬운데?
Oh, shit. Here we go again. Worst place in the world. Rolling Heights baller country. Now, I ain't represented Grove Street in 5 years, but the ballers won't give a shit.
Be seen with you.